A milestone moment in the 2022 midterm election is almost here. Campaigns across the state learn if they live to fight another day as the primary polls close in an hour. Voters hit the polls today to choose who they want to represent their party in November's general election. Thanks for joining us. I'm Mike Bush.
And I'm Ann Allred. We have team coverage. Our reporters are all over the state at campaign parties for many of the front runners in the Senate race. First, let's send it to Elise Schoenig. She's live at St. Louis County Election Headquarters in St. Anne. Elise, they were expecting about a third of the people to show up for this election. Do you know anything about turnout yet?
Yeah, and voter turnout has definitely picked up today. They're not quite at that 1/3 mile mark yet, but they are at about 20%, 25% rather. And I do want to say some of our viewers might remember voting at polling booths like this one, where, you know, this is actually where you would cast that vote. But here today, it's certainly made much easier for people who've come out to vote. You can still see there's still a line of people as they've come after work, as they've made their way out here, just trying to get their votes in on time with just under an hour left. And now there are a couple of things that election officials I spoke to today say they really want people to keep in mind for today's primary. You do not need a photo ID to cast a ballot. Missouri did pass a new law requiring one, but it won't go into effect until next month. So if you are voting today, there are a number of acceptable forms of ID you can bring for this primary. And meanwhile, St. Louis County election officials, as you all said already, were hoping for around 30% for that voter turnout today. They're sitting at 25% right now, and they admit that they still may not make it to that 30% or higher mark.
A relatively small percentage of the people in St. Louis County are going to make the decisions for everybody else. So if you want to have a voice in, you know, who your elected representatives are, and on some propositions on the ballot, some even affecting your taxes, you got to go vote.
And again, polls close at 7, so we've got just under an hour until people can still continue to come and cast their vote. Again, if you are in line at 7, you can still vote, so please remember that, and we'll continue to keep you updated on air and online. Reporting live in St. Louis County, Elise Schoenig, 5 on your side.
Control of the U.S. Senate could come through Missouri, making this one of the most closely watched primaries in the nation.
A long, very long list of candidates want to fill retiring Republican Senator Roy Blunt's seat. On the GOP side, Eric Schmitt, Eric Greitens, and Vicki Hartzler, those are the front runners. Whoever wins this race will likely face either Lucas Kunce or Trudy Busch Valentine at the general election in November.
Let's begin on the GOP side. Holden Kerwicki is with the Greitens campaign. We'll check in with him in just a bit. But let's begin with Sarah Maki, who is at Eric Schmidt's watch party in Westport Plaza. Sarah.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. The stage is set. The candidate and the crowd is still to come, although we do have some people just outside the doors here. Now, of course, it has been a very long road to tonight. And over the past couple of years, Eric Schmitt has really leveraged his power and his position as the state's attorney general to create some media buzz. I want you to take a look at one of the campaign stops that he made in our area late last night. This is a Get Out the Vote campaign stop in Fenton. Schmitt was talking about some of his pandemic-era lawsuits filed against school districts, the country of China, and local Missouri governments. Now, ultimately, those were unsuccessful in court, but they might have gone a long way towards earning him some regular appearances on national cable media outlets and might have appealed to a lot of pro-Trump voters. But in the last hours before people woke up to cast their votes today, he really wanted to take aim at his primary opponent, warning voters not to pick Eric Schmitt, or Greitens rather, not to pick Greitens because of his personal baggage and his previous resignation.
Quit on you before, they'll quit on you again because it doesn't get any easier in Washington.
Eric Greitens took a knee and he quit on the state, so he hasn't done any of those things.
But so he resigned after like serious allegations. Are you saying that he shouldn't have resigned?
No, I'm saying he should have explained to people why he resigned. He claimed he was innocent, but he resigned anyway.
One of the biggest talking points over the last 24 hours involves somebody who is not even in this race. We are talking about former President Donald Trump. He yesterday endorsed Eric, though not giving a last name, Greitens or Schmitt. Last night, Schmitt told us that he believes that endorsement was for him, but for more on this confusion, we're actually going to go over to my coworker, Holden Kerwicki, now, who has more from the Greitens campaign. Holden.
Well, Sarah, as we well know, there are multiple Erics in this race. And last night, as you mentioned, former President Donald Trump endorsed Eric, without specifying which one. But today, Eric Greitens says he personally called former President Trump and thanked him for his support. While meeting with supporters outside of the Innsbrook polling place this morning, after voting, Greitens says he was thrilled to be the MAGA candidate after accepting endorsements from Rudy Giuliani, Donald Trump Jr., and Kimberly Guilfoyle. Greitens didn't directly discuss what was said during that conversation with the former president, saying that that conversation is and was private, but he did take a few shots at Eric Schmidt and his campaign by calling him a Republican in name only.
He said there's only one MAGA champion in this race, that's Eric Greitens. He said Eric Schmidt is a rhino. You saw other people come in and say, look, he's talking about a warrior. Eric Greitens is a Navy SEAL who did 4 deployments overseas. I'm running against a rhino like Eric Schmidt, who's a career politician.
Now, this is expected to be a tight race for the Republican nomination for Senate. For more on another candidate in this race, let's go back into the studio with Ann Allred.
Thank you, Holden. Another serious contender to be the GOP Senate nominee is Congresswoman Vicky Hartzler. She cast her ballot this morning just south of Kansas City in Harrisonville. Her watch party will begin in about an hour in Garden City, Missouri, and Senator Josh Hawley has endorsed her. Now looking to the Democratic side of this primary.
The two frontrunners are Marine veteran Lucas Kuntz and multimillionaire beer heiress Trudy Bush Valentine. Our Justina Cornell is at Trudy Bush Valentine's watch party, but first let's go to Pepper Baker, who is live in Kansas City at Lucas Kuntz's watch party.
Mike, and we made it on the inside, and in just about 30 minutes, Lucas Kuntz will welcome his supporters here at Tom's Town here in Kansas City for his watch party. Now, I'm sure he's feeling pretty good going into elections today now that he's been endorsed by Bernie Sanders this week. Now, that endorsement is promoted all over his Twitter today as an encouraging push for Missourians to get out and vote. Appealing to the everyday Missourian has been Kuntz's campaign mantra, being from Jefferson City. During his 13 years as a Marine officer in Afghanistan and Iraq, he represented the U.S. in arms control negotiations in Europe. And on the campaign trail, he's been vocal about being pro-choice, breaking up corporate monopoly power, and achieving universal health care. He spoke passionately before the crowd at his rally in Independence yesterday for the work behind his campaign.
I can't do this alone. I see people here who are knocking doors for me in these neighborhoods today. That's how we win. It's grassroots. I cannot write myself a $200 check, much less a $1 million check each week. I don't have it. I don't have it. My family doesn't have generational wealth. But I tell you what, that means I know how everyday Missourians live.
Now, the turnouts at Kuntz's rallies have been pretty decent. He had more than 100 people show up to the one that he hosted in St. Joe just a few days ago. Now, the crowd hasn't shown up yet, but we're going to be keeping an eye on them. You can see the crew, the staff here is just still setting up. But we're going to head over to Justina Cornell, who's back in St. Louis, who is now covering the watch party for another frontrunner of this primary, Trudy Bush Valentine.
Yeah, Pepper, it's quiet right now here at the Union Hall for the Sheet Metal Workers Local 36, but soon that will all change as supporters come through those doors at 7 o'clock when they open, and that's the same time as the polls close. Now, earlier today, we actually caught up with the Democratic candidate, Trudy Bush Valentine, as she was voting at Ladou's City Hall. Now, she's the multimillionaire heiress to a portion of the Anheuser-Busch Trust, but the nurse says she wants to build her own legacy by running for the U.S. Senate seat. Now, Valentine has made it a point she's the only woman in the Democratic primary race, putting her in a unique position to debate abortion rights. As far as endorsements, St. Louis Mayor Tashara Jones recently came out backing up Valentine. Now, earlier today, we spoke to Valentine, who says she believes being a nurse gives her a different perspective.
Being a nurse, worried about health care for everyone, worried about all the things that go along with health care, which is really things that affect everything else that's going on in our country, because it affects crime, it affects schools.
Beyond being a nurse, she also serves on a nursing board and helps multiple organizations focusing on children's issues. Reporting in St. Louis, Justina Cornell, 5 on your side.
Let's move on to a few other races we're following. Voters in Hazelwood, Jennings, Olivet, and St. Louis City, they're deciding on their Democratic nominee for Missouri's 1st congressional district. The incumbent, Cori Bush, is looking to keep her seat. She cast her ballot this morning. Steve Roberts, Bush's biggest opponent, cast his ballot first thing this morning. There are several other candidates in this race, including some Republicans. But the district is a very Democratic stronghold, so the primary is expected to decide who the candidate which one will win in November.
Today, people in St. Louis County are voting for their county executive. Incumbent Sam Page cast his vote this morning, and he's hoping to keep his seat running against Jane Duker, the attorney. Shamed Dogan and Catherine Pinner are running on the Republican side. Join us tonight for our primary coverage. We'll go live as soon as the polls close at 7 p.m. on the 5+ app. We'll also have expanded results on 5 on Your Side at 10 and reaction tomorrow morning on Today in St. Louis. And stay up to date with all the races. Just text the word results to 314-425-5355 and we'll text a link to election results straight to your phone.
Senator Josh Hawley is in town today. The reason he says he needs to see the flood damage for himself.
And later in sports, missed opportunity or smart move, the trade that has Cardinals Nation divided.
And great baseball weather for us tonight in St. Louis. We're dry around the metro, and that flood warning in Clay County, Illinois, finally expired at 6. A couple of thunder showers, one around Union and another around Cuba. The forecast coming up.
Tonight, an update on an attempted carjacking at a Walgreens that we first told you about last night. A woman was shot in the chest as a man was attempting to take her car in the parking lot of the store on North Grand in St. Louis. We're now learning the woman was handing him the car keys when he shot her multiple times. She was taken to the hospital. No word yet on the extent of her injuries. The gunman ran away. Senator Josh Hawley visited Florissant today to see the flood damage with his own eyes.
He stopped by the old St. Ferdinand Shrine this morning. The historic church took on more than 2 feet of water during the flash flooding last week. Senator Hawley also toured the nearby Knights of Columbus, where the basement flooded. He says the reason he's visiting is to push for federal assistance.
I need to see it for myself because getting the federal government to act, a big part of that is saying, no, don't tell me it's not that bad. I saw it. It's bad. You need to get your damage assessments done. You need to get help to people, and they need to get moving on that, and that's why I'm here.
Senator Hawley also toured the damage in University City.
Coming up, disturbing new details about a deadly shooting in the middle of a downtown bus station. The terrifying account from an eyewitness.
Tonight, a St. Louis man is charged with the murder for allegedly killing a teen in the middle of a crowded Greyhound and Amtrak hub.
It didn't take long for police to track down the suspect because the downtown shooting was caught on video. 5 on Your Side's Ryan Henson has an update on the investigation.
An alleged killer now behind bars in St. Louis. Alexander Montrell charged with first-degree murder and armed criminal action. Court documents indicate Montrell too dangerous to be released. In security footage obtained by 5 on Your Side, you can see the suspect standing in line with the ski mask just before he approached the victim, 17-year-old Damari Chappell. We're choosing not to show the video due to its graphic nature. An anonymous witness describes what she knows.
They said the young man that was murdered was sitting in a chair. The guy came in the building behind him as he was sitting in a chair and said, "What's up now?" and pulled his revolver from his pants and shot him.
The shooting sent passengers ducking and running for cover. Police sources say the shooting was targeted, but it's still unclear how the two knew each other.
That sucks. That's bad publicity for America, of course. That sucks. That's really insecure. How can be a shooting inside a building?
Police say they used cameras in the area to track down the shooter. Ryan Henson, 5 on Your Side.
Let's get to Jim Castillo. And believe it or not, guys, today is going to seem like a bit of relief when we get to tomorrow. Is that right, Jim?
Yes, today we had that rain-cooled air. It didn't hit 90, which is amazing. So 89 for that high. Tomorrow probably 98. That's where we were yesterday. And then thunderstorms, boy, Clay County got hammered last night through this morning, and look at how much rain fell. So we're going to watch for thunderstorms, by the way, for all of us tomorrow evening and tomorrow night. But finally, the rain's coming to an end, but right along Highway 50, Flora to Clay City, the entire county, probably over 8 inches, but then you widen out the shot. You see that darker spot right there? That's Jasper County, just east of Effingham, and they've had up to 12 to 15 inches of rain. Kind of like what happened last week, but just to the east of St. Louis. And we had a nice dry day here. A couple showers and storms popped up around Gasconade County, and otherwise it's pretty calm out there this evening in most spots. 89, there it is for that high today, below the average of 90. And 81, though, that was the overnight low. Way warm. The average overnight low is 71. No rainfall in St. Louis today, and right now, if you're headed outside, it's 88 degrees. So good baseball weather. It could be hotter, but tomorrow night's going to be hotter, and also a chance of storms, but should stay dry this evening. 92 is what it feels like now. Humidity 51%, and that dew point about 68. So a warm front is way up near Chicago, and the hottest air was kind of really pushed back to the west with those thunderstorms from Illinois that moved through. So the Ozarks westward had some really hot air today. And of course, the mosquito meter, I should say, is way up there. So hot, humid, rain nearby, and it's breezy, but we're going to get more rain as we head into tomorrow. Flora, the Little Wabash River still has a flood warning there, minor flooding on that, but it is still way high. And on the radar satellite shot, you can see a little bit of thunderstorm activity that just finally died out right around Union, Missouri. Otherwise, it is pretty quiet out there this evening. So things are looking good. The futurecast, though, showing showers and storms redeveloping tomorrow late in the day into the nighttime hours. 98 before that happens, and it could feel as high as 110. 89, though, cools us down Thursday to 89. Pretty nice. Then on Friday, 91. Dry this weekend, maybe a spot storm on Sunday, but relatively nice considering it could be hotter.
We'll take it. Thanks, Jim.
The Cardinals traded for a pitcher today and said goodbye to a fan favorite. Frank Cusimano has that story next.
Seconds before the trade deadline ended, the Cardinals upgraded their pitching. They picked up Jordan Montgomery from the Yankees. Harrison Bader is going back home to play for the Yankees, and the Cardinals will also send a player to be named later, or cash. Montgomery is a 6'6" lefty who has started 21 games for the Yankees this year and logged 114 innings. His earned run average is 3.69. The record is 3-3. His last two starts, though, have been rough. 9 innings, 9 earned runs. John Mozeliak believes he's a perfect fit. We'll hear from the president at 10 o'clock. Yadier Molina and Adam Wainwright will be the battery for the 317th time tonight. That will put them second on the all-time list. It will be Yadi's first game since June 16th. Yadi told us it was tough to watch from Puerto Rico and that the playoffs start right now.
It was a tough month for me. I mean, I was with my family down in Puerto Rico. That helped, but I mean, to be away from the field, I mean, it was tough. I'm back, so I'm happy for that. This is the playoff for us. I mean, we know what type of situation we are right now, and we're gonna treat every game like a playoff.
You know what could be the difference maker for the Cardinals right now? This man, Paul DeJong, staying hot. Now, he has homered in his last 2 games since being recalled from Memphis. And remember, he had 17 of these homers in 51 games in AAA.
Well, that can mean a lot. I mean, we know Paul is an all-star. I mean, he's an all-star player, and he's done it before. And if we can get him going again, that's just going to expand our lineup and make us even better. So hopefully that's the case. I'm happy he's back. He's a great teammate. He brings energy. But hopefully he just continues to do what he's doing.
The biggest story in baseball is the Nationals trade with the Padres. San Diego got Juan Soto and Josh Bell. The Nationals got 4 prospects and the St. Louis and Luke Voigt. The Phillies, who lead the Cardinals by 1 game for the final wildcard spot, really helped themselves. They picked up closer David Robertson, starter Noah Syndergaard, and center fielder Brandon Marsh. And that will do it in sports.
So, Frank, analyze this for me in terms of the trade deadline. They didn't make a big splash, the Cardinals. They didn't get Juan Soto. They do get 2 pitchers. Are they a much better team than they were before yesterday?
Well, they're definitely better because their starting staff was a real weakness and they picked up 2 quality arms. But, Mike, it's kind of like with all this anticipation, you expecting a new bike on Christmas Day and you got a used bike. They still have enough talent, though, to make a run and win this division and beat the Brewers.
How big a loss is Harrison Bader?
I don't think big because we've seen Dylan Carlson play center field flawlessly. I don't think they'll miss Bader at all. I think Carlson will be a better player.
All right. Frank Cusimano, thank you very much. There you have it. 5 on your side at 6. Wheel of Fortune is next.
Join us tonight at 10 for all of the primary election coverage. Have a great night.